Hello folks, bit of car news for you today. I'll probably do another one of these later on in the month, but there's quite a lot of news at the moment, so I thought I'd give you a little bit of a bonus episode. Before we get onto it, please give the video a thumbs up right now. It really does help the algorithm, helps the channel, shows a bit of engagement if any sponsors are looking at things. So please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and off we go. Now, first couple of stories I'm just going to brush over, but they're on my website, 𝑘notaGuru.co.uk. Got the highlights of the Geneva Motor Show on there. Obviously, I've done a separate video on that, so I'm not going to dwell on all that kind of news. But a little bit of a roundup. You've also got a link to the video, and also this news from Tesla that the Roadster is going to be under 1 second, 0 to 60, and have a 250-mile-an-hour top speed, possibly 500-600 miles of range, something daft. Obviously, this is Elon saying this. Not sure about everything he says. There's also a suggestion that it's going to fly. Yes, that's right. I've done a separate video on this. I might well take that down because no one's watching it, and it really hurts the algorithm when people don't watch videos. So I might end up taking that down. But at the moment, there's a link to it on there if you want to go and see it. Over to Autocar. Tata confirms Somerset site as a location for its UK battery factory. Bridgewater factory will initially create batteries for JLR and Tata Motors. 40 gigawatt hour capacity will be the largest in Europe. This is brilliant news. It has had huge backing from the UK government to the tune of £500 million. But this cannot be anything but fantastic news. For one thing, it's going to create a load of jobs. Secondly, it's going to make it easier for manufacturers to stay here and to come here to make cars in future. And we need to start making things again in this country. So this is massively important. It might also mean that others come and do the same. So I think this is fantastic news. 620-acre site. It's going to be one of the biggest buildings in the country. It's going to create 4,000 jobs at this site alone. And of course, God knows how many will come on from that if other manufacturers come here and start building their cars. This could be something that generates a hell of a lot of jobs for people in this country. This is an interesting one. The Stellantis CEO says thanks for the EV negativity. He's saying because there's so much negativity and pessimism about electric vehicles in the press, the mainstream press, it's actually really helped to drive down the cost of manufacturing an EV because the parts prices have dropped literally on the back of all this negativity and pessimism. He says many people are talking about the slowdown on battery electric vehicle demand, which has had a huge impact on the raw material cost. This is helping us reduce the total production cost of battery electric vehicles faster than the internal combustion engine. Lower raw materials will help EVs more affordable, solving one of the main points in the switch away from fossil fuels. Polestar has secured £750 million worth of funding to really stabilise the business, which has been on its backside for a little while now, despite producing some of the best electric vehicles on the market. Volvo said recently that it's going to stop funding Polestar, and this will really help to prop up the business and help it achieve its 2025 growth plans. Just heading back to Geneva Motor Show just for a second, one thing I did skip over was the fact that the Renault Scenic won the Car of the Year for 2024. It was up against things like the Volvo EX30, the new Toyota CHR, the Kia EV9, the BMW i5, Peugeot E3008. There was some really strong competition in that pack, and I was really surprised that Renault won, especially against the EV9 and the BMW i5. Do you smell a rat with this, folks? It might be that the Scenic's the best car. I haven't driven one yet, so I will reserve judgment. But Renault were the only one of the major manufacturers that actually had a stand there. And they also did the launch of the Renault 5, which was by far the biggest news of the day. Fishy or not? Back to Autocar, and Aston Martin delays its first fully electric vehicle in favour of plug-in hybrids. It won't produce its first electric car now until 2026. Not a massive surprise for me, really, folks. I mean, who else in that segment is doing fully battery electric vehicles at the moment? Really, not many at all. And the amount of R&D that's going to go into a fully electric Aston for probably very few sales. But don't forget, this is not exactly a mainstream car. it's probably just not worth their while at the moment. So I'm not massively surprised by that. I don't know how many of those punters are going to want a plug-in hybrid either, though. They probably just want a big, angry petrol. UK car production increases 21% year on year in January. Good news. 65% of those cars are actually still destined for the UK market. The rest go to export, but always good to see production going up in the UK. Lucid aims for electric cars to achieve 6.2 miles per kilowatt hour. They say the equivalent of 100 miles per gallon is the holy grail for EVs. The current Lucid Air is achieving 4.7 miles per kilowatt hour, according to the US test, which is called the EPA, and that's much stricter than WLTP that we have here, which is often a little bit of a nonsense. The most efficient is the Tesla Model S, which gets about 5 miles per kilowatt hour. Indeed, Tesla are still ahead of the rest of the pack when it comes to pure efficiency. This is something I've been talking about for a little while now, is the fact that we need to be talking about efficiency so we can have smaller batteries with better range, and also charging speed. You know, this is something that's going to become massively important in years to come. And I think we should be paying far less attention to that headline range number and more attention to the size of the battery and how quickly it can charge. The equivalent of 100 miles per gallon and 6.2 miles per kilowatt hour on a big car like a Lucid will be incredibly impressive. MG plans to launch a 20 grand electric city car in 2025. The Chinese firm targets the Dacia Spring with new MG2 Super Mini already well in development. Lots of chat about the Dacia Spring at the moment, simply because it's an electric car under 20 grand. I had a poke around in that at Geneva, and I just don't get it, to be honest. It's got a lot of compromises in terms of the range and the performance and the size. And you can just get yourself a second-hand Corsa or ID3 or you name it for similar kind of money. And I don't know why you wouldn't do that. I'm sure they're going to depreciate massively because they are compromised vehicles. So I don't get what all the fuss is about. If MG does a small Super Mini that looks a bit like this, then good luck to them, but I hope it doesn't have the compromises that we're seeing with the Dacia Spring. MG4 is going to spawn an estate car to replace the aging MG5. I think this is a great shame because personally, I think the best build quality on the MG cars that we've got here at the moment is on the MG5. And I think it makes the most compelling case for a car you might actually want to go out and buy. The MG4 is a great fun driver's car, like it really is fun. The rear wheel drive one is good fun. But the interior in places and some of the build quality is not what it should be. And I'd rather see them stick with the one that's built better and maybe redesign that. Although the latest version of the MG5 is actually not a bad looking car. So I'm a bit on the fence about this one. I hope if they are doing this, they make it a little bit more premium. Chuck an extra couple of grand onto the price and put that into some build quality. The Apple Car project has been scrapped. There's been talk of this for years. People have been waiting for Apple to come out with a car, and it's been no secret that they've been trying to develop a car. The automotive project was predicted to generate low margins compared with existing tech products. The board evidently weren't impressed by the fact that this car was going to have a price tag of around about 100 grand. Thought the margin was too slim, it's too much of a gamble, and they've pulled the plug. I would imagine they've spent in the billions on this. They had 2,000 technicians working on it. They hired a chassis expert from Lamborghini, and they've just decided, we're not going to make this work. Let's call it a day. Obviously, they've doubled down on their Apple CarPlay functionality and what's coming with that, where it's basically going to take over the entire brain of the car for you. That looks incredibly impressive. I'm sure there'll be some sort of subscription model around that. And they're probably thinking, if we want to play in the automotive space, let's do it without all the risk of investment in manufacturing and production. Let's just work on the software and let other people worry about building the car. The designers of the Renault 5 say this design can last 20 years. It went down an absolute storm at Geneva. Everyone was sort of blown away by it. It was actually really difficult just to get pictures with it for most of the day until late afternoon, really. There was a lot of chat there and on social media about which one you prefer, the yellow, the green or the blue. I think it's the yellow for me. I think that looks awesome. I'd really like to see a super hot version of this, and I'm sure there will be one at some stage. It just makes perfect sense. Some people are very upset that there's no turbo petrol version of the car. I think that would have been a good idea, and it's a shame it's not there. Maybe even sort of mild hybrid or something. But it's not. It's EV. We probably shouldn't be too surprised about that. It is 2024. And here it is. I think it's a great looking car, a brilliant bit of design, and I cannot wait to drive one. JLR sticks with dealer partners as it cancels agency plans. Jaguar Land Rover cancels plans to act wholesale model, but doubles down on the need for a concierge buying experience. I cannot believe that JLR were thinking about getting rid of their dealerships, because being completely serious and not taking the P at all, the cars spend a lot of time back in the dealerships, and I'm sure the workshops in dealerships generate as much revenue as the sales departments. That's just the truth. I'm not trying to be controversial in any way. And surely those people that are dropping over 100 grand sometimes on a new car want a dealership experience. I personally wouldn't, but I know lots and lots of people are those kind of customers that really want all that sort of pomp and ceremony, and they want their hand held through the order process. They want to ask a million questions. That sort of comes with the territory. So I was shocked they were considering it, and it's probably very sensible that they've decided to stick with what they've got. The new plug-in Toyota Prius is going to get a £37,000 starting price. Super sleek hatchback offers 53 miles of electric range, with order books due to open in March. I sat in one of these at the LA show, and it was great. Like, I really like the design of this. I think it's the best looking Toyota there's been for a long time, and by far the best looking Prius we've ever seen. So you're going to get electric motors combined with a 2-litre petrol engine, 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds, so it's going to perform pretty well. Obviously, these will be massively popular with taxi drivers, Uber drivers, etc. I'm sure the MPG numbers are going to be incredible, as long as you obviously keep some charge in it. So it will make a good case for itself, I'm sure. 37 grand is a lot of money, but by modern car standards, I suppose it's not stupid, is it? This could be a really big car for Toyota when you think about it. The EV, the BZ4X, hasn't exactly gone down a storm, and there is certainly still a market in this country for hybrid vehicles and plug-in hybrid vehicles, so I could see this doing well. So this is a cool little thing, the Silence SO4. I sat in one of these at Geneva, and the guy gave me a demo of the battery technology. I did touch on this in the last news video, and essentially the battery is removable, and you plug it into a charger on the side of your house or inside your house, wherever you want that to be, and it can also power your house. It can also be taken out and used in the scooter, the electric scooter, a moped kind of thing. So it gives you the chance to buy a moped scooter without a battery, because you've already got the car, so you can share the battery across them. And then if you get a power cut at home, it can actually run your house. I think the guy said for something like 12 hours, there's enough power in it. Lots of comments in the last video about saying, oh, I'm not going to take a lithium battery into my house because it will catch fire. A, stop reading the Daily Mail, and B, what about your mobile phone? How many of you have a mobile phone in your house? And how many of you have got that plugged into a cheap charger that you bought off eBay or Amazon or something? Unless you go and bury every lithium battery in your house in a concrete bunker every night, I wouldn't worry about it. And yes, this will be a bigger battery than the one in your mobile phone, and if it suddenly decided to combust, you'd have a pretty aggressive fire. But if one of these things decides to combust, you've got a very aggressive fire. So if you're someone that doesn't cross the street in case you get run over, or you like to wear a tinfoil hat, then you'd probably be pretty worried about this and not have one, which is fine. Personally, it wouldn't bother me at all. And I think it's a really cool idea, and possibly brings EVs as an option to people that live in flats and terrace houses and all the rest of it. A very cool little things, built in Barcelona, 92 miles of range, 52 miles an hour, so it's far less of a compromise than something like a Citroen Ami. As you can see, the interior is beyond minimalist, and as you pull the battery out, some wheels drop down and it's on a little trolley. It's a piece of cake, really. UK road maintenance work slashed by almost half in 5 years. Council road repairs are down 45% compared to 2017-18, the latest data shows. Now, in my area, the council have just done some of this rough laid tarmac. They did an area a little bit up the road about a year ago, and that looks horrendous now. But literally a week ago, they've just done some stuff quite close to me, and I think I'm going to do a video on it because I just want you to see how badly it's been done. They've done it because of all the potholes, and they've created a load of new potholes. Literally on the day it was laid, you could see the original road surface underneath in patches. Honestly, the street is patchier than my scalp. And it's absolutely shocking. God knows how much they've paid for this work to be done, and it's atrocious. But the point is, if they are spending money on repairs and they're doing that kind of job, they might as well not bother, because it's atrocious. Genesis dealers coming to a town near you as the brand expands from direct sales. Now, I think this is a brilliant move from Genesis. As we were saying with JLR, certain customers want a dealership experience, and I think someone buying a Genesis definitely wants a dealership experience because they don't know anything about cars. They've never sat in one. They've only seen a few of them out on the roads. And I think this will be a game changer for the Genesis brand, because once people actually get to experience one, they will be sold. It's as simple as that. They are very, very good cars. So you will see Genesis dealers popping up very, very soon, possibly sharing space with other brands. And they've got some big franchise partners, people like Arnold Clark involved. So great news for Genesis, I would say. And finally, the SMMT is putting pressure on the Chancellor to cut VAT on new electric vehicles. And they say it's going to provide fair tax for a fair transition. I sort of see where they're coming from, because obviously the transition to electric vehicles is being forced through by government legislation, but it's not for a long time yet. And petrol cars are not going anywhere at the moment, and not for a while yet. And of course, there's still a used market. And I don't think the price of an electric car is putting people off as much as it once did, because you can get an electric car now for almost any budget. I mean, you can get something with a tiny range, you get an old Leaf or something for like 2 or 3 grand if you want one. Now, the SMMT here is saying they should charge 50% VAT. I think it would be far more sensible if they charged 100% VAT, but used 50% to address home charging for people that live in flats and terrace houses or don't have a private drive. So things like putting gullies into pavements, things like putting charging technology into lamp posts, all this kind of stuff, because that's holding back more people than probably anything else at the moment, is the fact that they're going to find it difficult to charge at home and they don't want to use public chargers. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this is a great idea from the SMMT? Or do you think they're sort of missing the point a bit? Folks, please give this video a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. If you are a subscriber already, please click the notification bell so you're informed every time I release a new video. And I want to say a massive thanks to the people that bought me a coffee in the last month. I got 20 something quid last month from people just saying, I like this, here's a coffee, and I massively appreciate that. So thank you very, very much indeed. And to the few people that do a super thanks on YouTube. No one's getting anything extra when they buy me a coffee or anything. They're literally just saying thanks, and that really does mean a lot. So thanks ever so much for all the support, folks. Please keep watching. See you on the next one.